Am I the a-hole for not allowing a friend to move in with me? I, 19 female, come from a wealthy family. Even so, I had a job since I turned 16. My parents got me a car, but I had to pay for my own insurance and gas. I had a limit for how much my birthday and Christmas gifts cost. When I graduated high school and was accepted into a good college, my parents gave me a choice. 1, I live in the dorms. They pay for everything. I get just a bit of spending money, but they won't have a say in my life at all since I am an adult. 2, I live in a 2-bedroom apartment they own in the city. Doorman, gym, pool, and cleaning service. They pay for everything and I have more spending money. In exchange, I have to promise to keep a high GPA, no recreational substance use, no alcohol until I turn 21, and to not have any roommates. Then when I am a junior, the deed to the apartment transfers to my name. I accepted the second choice and it has been great. I'm an introvert, so I appreciate my space. The problem is that a friend I made at the beginning of the semester wanted to move in and I declined. She comes from a middle-class family, paying for her school using student loans, just normal. The first time she was over, she started making some tasteless remarks. Must be nice to never work a day in your life. Must be nice to have mom and daddy wait on you hand and foot, etc. When she wouldn't stop, I just started distancing myself from her. She has been having problems with her roommate from the get-go, but yesterday she just couldn't take it anymore. So she asked me in front of all our friend group if she could move in with me. I said no, she can't. She called me an entitled trust fund baby who didn't know what the normal people's struggles are, and stormed off. Now all my friends say that I'm the a-hole, that I have the space and it wouldn't cost me anything. I could just lie to my parents and they wouldn't know. I disagree, but I thought better to ask because if they don't give it a rest, I'm planning to cut all of them off. I don't need that kind of negativity in my life. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. She's rude and uncaring. She already insults you and your family. Well, let her in. Don't let her move in, ever. The fun question would be, would prospective roommate pay rent? I'm guessing we all know the answer. She's vastly entitled to assume that you owe it to her. It seems like her premise was that you'll host her in your apartment. Refusal wasn't a feasible option, and that is why it blindsided her. That's audacious. She can't possibly expect you to jeopardize your relationship with your parents and the privileges they give you because she doesn't get along with her roommates. It seems like she accumulated a lot of envy towards you, and she revealed it now. Not today, home. You shouldn't be lying to your parents, and you have no obligation to provide free housing to anyone, especially someone who makes snide comments about you and has demonstrated they can't get along with roommates. To be fair to her, her roommate is a nightmare, so she's at fault on that side. Okay, I take that part back. Still doesn't mean you are required to offer free housing though, especially if it means lying to your parents. If nothing else, guaranteed you would be found out somehow. Even if there was no chance of being found out, I wouldn't lie to them. They're great parents, and I wouldn't want to break their trust in me. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my best friend she's not equal to my fiancé? I'm 28 and engaged to a great man the same age as me. We've been dating since we were 16 and got engaged at 24 4 years ago. I have a best friend, Angela, who's also 28. She's a woman as well. So Angela has barely grown out of high school mentality. She still acts like she did back then. Clubbing every weekend, hooking up, always out with friends, new and old. She never had a boyfriend or girlfriend. She only has had situationships, so she doesn't know how commitment works. I don't judge her for that since she seems fine with her life and I'm happy that my friends are being themselves. And I get to be myself despite having different interests. Lately, I had my suspicions that Angela believes that she still comes before my fiancé, just because we were each other's #1 priority in high school. I tried to slip in multiple times, without being confrontational, that my fiancé and I are gonna be a family soon, and how he's my priority and so on, just to get the message across without having some uncomfortable conversation. She didn't seem to get it though, and something dramatic did end up happening. Angela's birthday was 2 days ago, and she planned on having a celebration tomorrow night. The place she picked was a male strip club. I texted her and told her I wouldn't feel comfortable to attend, because strip clubs cross my fiancé's boundaries. It's not because we don't trust each other, but we just don't feel comfortable with that in our relationship. Anyone who knows about this boundary has told us it's a normal boundary, but Angela said that I would be stupid to imply that I'll skip her birthday. I said that we could hang out the two of us someday and go for drinks, but I just don't feel comfortable attending a strip club. She said, "But I'm your best friend. You're not gonna skip your best friend's birthday, are you?" I said, "Sadly, I'll skip it. but I insisted on an alternative for another day. She got disappointed and said she didn't expect me to ever put a man's needs over our friendship. I reminded her he's my fiancé. She argued that him being a fiancé of mine doesn't mean he deserves special treatment over her. I told her that's exactly what it means, and I reminded her that she's not equal to my fiancé anymore in such situations, because he's the person I'm gonna marry and have a family with, and he's my #1 priority. I probably shouldn't have said that because she claims I'm the a-hole, and that I replaced her when I used to have her as my #1. I apologized for that phrasing and tried to explain what I meant, but she wasn't having it and said I should go cry to my fiancé and she doesn't need my fake apology. I didn't mean to hurt her feelings. I just felt like she was pushing me and had a one-sided competition with my fiancé, and I said that. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. You set a mutually agreed upon boundary and you're following it. If she can't understand and respect that, she's not your friend. Many people would be uncomfortable having a birthday in a strip club, not just you. If she truly didn't consider that when she made the decision, that's her fault. Also, she was the one who pushed you to prioritize between her and your fiancé. If she wasn't going to be happy with your response, she shouldn't have put you in that position. I'm female, straight and single, and I would be uncomfortable going to a strip club and would decline an invite from anyone. Not a a-hole. You two are growing up. It's life, and it happens. How we handle it is up to us. But it sounds of it, you are a good and supporting friend. Even though the dynamic is changing, you are still there for them. Just remember they may not see it that way. All you can do is try your best to remind them they are still important to you, but there are boundaries. Hope this helps, and best of luck. I tried to explain it to her after I tried to apologize. She's definitely still one of the most important people in my life, but she has a hard time understanding boundaries and priorities because she's more free-spirited than I am. She doesn't know what those terms mean. I can't entirely blame her, but sometimes her insisting on putting herself above my fiancé seemed on purpose, so I felt disrespected. I would suggest giving her more time to adjust. I know I had a bit of a hard time when my friends were getting married. It can be a little scary, but the effort you were putting in should help her to adjust. Does she get along with your fiancé? That may be another reason she's lashing out. They get along. They're not best friends exactly, but they're friendly with each other, but have different interests, so they can't communicate about much. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to stay home with my kids while my husband attends my brother's wedding? I'm a stay-at-home mom and my husband works full-time. We have 3 kids and one of them is 2 years old. My husband helps a lot with the kids. He's a committed dad, but is absolutely against babysitters, due to an awful incident with a babysitter that was the reason his younger male cousin James got disabled years ago. I don't go out much since I have to take the kids with me, and not every place is suitable for kids. We received an invitation from my brother's, who has been my husband's friend since college, wedding which we later discovered was child-free. My brother lives states away, so the entire trip will take 4 days as well as my brother's in-laws' weekend dinner party, their tradition. I told my husband I want to go since it's been a while since I've been to a wedding, and this one is special, and suggested we get a trusted friend as a babysitter. He asked if I was serious to consider leaving our 2-year-old with a babysitter, and suggested that I do what I normally do and stay home with the kids while he goes to the wedding. I refused, and said I have as much right to attend as him since we both were invited. He said it wasn't his fault my brother wants a child-free wedding, and I should do this for the kids and sacrifice for their sake. I still refused and said this was unfair, and since he's a parent too, then he should also stay for the kids. He looked at me and said, "That's my best friend's wedding you're asking me to skip for Christ's sake. Are you kidding me?" He then said I was being petty for suggesting this and that I was basically choosing to go and party over keeping our kids safe. He asked me to consider this a business trip. What would I do? Go with him and leave the kids? I said I understand his paranoia of babysitters, but really all my friends have sitters and at times they're really needed. He said I ought to know better than what my friends tell me, and this wasn't even up for discussion. And when I kept arguing, he called me selfish and said he won't let me ruin his relationship with his friend because I was being spiteful for not being able to attend, and that my brother will understand my situation. He keeps asking who's more important, a wedding party or my kids, and said I was unreasonable for making my attendance the hill to die on. Am I the a-hole? Am I being selfish for wanting to attend this wedding, my brother's wedding, after 4 years not attending anything? I have a hard time to believe your husband is a good dad. Every single sentence from him smells like entitlement and selfishness. If you can't go to your brother's wedding, so can't he. Why doesn't he stay at home and you attend? Since this never came to his mind, he thinks less of you and your needs. You are the servant for the children, not his wife who is on the same level. This wedding shows you what kind of person your husband is and what he thinks of you, not Dayhole. Literally, every single accusation he's trying to throw at Opie is equally applicable to him. The hypocrisy and obtuseness are truly astounding. Exactly. Why should Opie miss her brother's wedding? Call me old-fashioned, but I think brother outranks best friend. When was the last time Opie's husband stayed behind? Not Dayhole. This is insane. It's your brother, and somehow your husband thinks he is the one who should get to go? When he's the whole reason you can't both go because of his unreasonable paranoia about hiring a babysitter. Honestly, if I were you, I'd be absolutely prepared to die on this hill. He's got away with holding you hostage to this nonsense for years. There's not one single logical reason why he should be allowed to attend rather than you. And if he was prepared to work on his own emotional baggage, then you could just hire a sitter like any other couple would do in this scenario. This is 1,000,000,000% on him. If anyone stays home with the kids, it should be him. He never stays behind. It's about time he did. He wants no babysitter? Well, he is dead, so he can stay and let Opie go to her brother's wedding. What I don't get is, it's her family. Is there not someone in his family who can watch the kids if he wants to go so bad? Not stay home. If he's the one against the babysitter, then he should be the one who stays at home. Your relationship seems very one-sided, and you shouldn't stop yourself going out. Tell him to try another babysitter, or he stays at home while you go out. Also, he says it's his best friend's wedding. It's your brother. Last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not taking in my fiancé's niece and nephew? My fiancé's sister and mother just passed away in an accident, and her sister left behind her 6-year-old son and daughter. And my fiancé pretty much immediately started talking about flying the kids here to move in with us. I've never been interested in having kids. I have nothing against kids in general. I just personally don't want to raise or live with any kids. But I've always been very clear on that, and I thought my fiancé was the same. So I reiterated my stance in having kids, and said I'm not going to change my mind on that now. My fiancé claims we're the only people who can take in these kids, which seems strange because she has a brother who has the bonus of living close to where the kids have been living, so they wouldn't even have to change schools. My fiancé says her brother can't take them because of money and being too busy, though I'm sure he could do it if he really wanted to. I'm pretty sure he gets money from the government for taking in orphan kids if you need financial help. Also, he's about to inherit a bunch of money from his mom. Instead if my fiancé insists on taking in these kids, we will no longer be compatible and will unfortunately have to end the relationship, and she'll have to move out of my place. She's mad that I'm making her choose between me and the kids, even though there's really nothing else I can do because I simply am not going to take in these kids. I just have zero interest in raising kids. I think it's completely unfair to expect me to upturn my life for 2 random kids I've never even met, just because her brother can't be bothered. She claims I'm basically saying the kids have to go to foster care, or I'll kick her out and leave her with nowhere to go and 2 kids to care for. Which is a bit dramatic because again, they have an uncle I bet who could take them in with a bit of effort. And if she really must be the one to take them, she could just move into her mom's old place or her sister's old place. She's also saying that I'm basically threatening to break up with her and kick her out right after her mom and sister died. But I don't see that I had a lot of choice since she was ready to bring 2 kids into my place. And it was either tell her my stance now, or wait until she'd already moved them in. Am I the a-hole? Nah, difficult situation. But you shouldn't have to change your life for these kids, though I would accept this as the end of your relationship. Yeah, it really sucks. But if she really must take these kids in, then we just aren't on the same path anymore. Even if she decides she can't take care of the kids on her own and stays with you, the resentment will probably end a relationship for you. This is a no-win situation. There's no way this doesn't end the relationship eventually. Not the a-hole for the sentiment, but if you're sharing it with her the same way you're putting it here, very much the a-hole for that. You say you thought she didn't want kids, but this has nothing to do with her wanting or not wanting kids. These are kids who already exist and who she already loves, who need help. If you're not willing to give that help, you can communicate that boundary, but you make it sound like she's gone all baby hungry or something. She hasn't. She's trying to simultaneously cope with crushing grief, care for 2 loved ones, and probably also trying to make sure she honors what her sister would have wanted. The way you talk about this whole situation doesn't seem to reflect empathy for that. I'm guardian for my developmentally disabled niece should something happen to her parents. Did I love that idea? No. Would I do it? Yes, to the absolute best of my abilities because I love her. Life sometimes throws you curveballs. Opie doesn't want to be part of that, and that is okay. Fiancé will be better off without him, although that sting is likely going to take years to get over. No a-holes here, but can't say you're the most emphatic or lovely person. They're not two random kids. They're her sister's kids, man. Yeah, that bothered me a lot. Opie has no empathy / willingness to see this from her point of view that this is her family, not kids just pulled off the street on a whim. Am I the a-hole for reporting my mom for identity fraud? I, 24 male, and my girlfriend put in an application to rent a condo and found out my mom borrowed about $43,000 with my social insurance. I talk with a lawyer, and it tells me I can either report my mom for identity fraud, or pay it off, or declare bankruptcy. I confront my mom, and she begs me not to do it and just pay off the debt. I don't have anywhere near that money, and decided to do what the lawyer recommended. The lawyer told me that filling out a police report is not the same as pressing charges, but I'm still scared what might happen to her. We used to be very poor, and she used my social insurance to pay the bills and provide for me and my brother. This feels like I'm betraying her, and her and my brother refuse to speak to me. My relatives all stopped talking to me. Am I the a-hole here? Edit. People are asking me if my mom or family could pay it. I don't think so. My mom is on social assistance, and my family isn't much better off. My grandma has a house, but I'm not asking her to sell it. Also, my lawyer said a police report is just to get the ball rolling and clearing up the debts and recovering my credit. It doesn't include her name. Lawyer said providing a suspect is not necessary, but I'm sure if they tried, they would figure out it's her. My mom might face charges, but it's unlikely she would get jail time. People are asking why I shouldn't put the loans under her name. She's got terrible credit and has declared bankruptcy before, but I'm not sure when. I don't know if my brother has checked his credit. He blocked me on WhatsApp, Facebook, and his phone. To clarify, she probably didn't borrow $43,000. It's probably $10,000 to $20,000 that grew with interest, fees, etc. Now for the top comment. Not the a-hole. $43,000 is a serious sum. You could consider not doing it if she paid that debt off, if you were feeling okay with that solution. But it's unlikely to happen if everyone, including her, thinks you should be the one to do it. Do they think you're just going to pull that money out of a hat? There are always going to be feelings hurt because family. But is it what family would do? To put someone in debt by committing a fraud? Nope, nope, nope. She doesn't have the money. She gets social assistance, which is barely enough to cover her rent and food. That isn't your responsibility. Your responsibility is the $43,000 worth of debt that she illegally put under your name. It wasn't to take care of you and your brother. You don't take care of your children by doing illegal things to them. Funny how the brother also thinks Opie's the a-hole. Probably because Mommy Dearest didn't steal money from him. Not the a-hole. Your mom committed fraud and left you owing $43,000 to the government. I know things can get desperate for people sometimes, but the fact that she didn't tell you, hasn't made attempts to pay it back, work with you to pay it back, that shows she's not taking responsibility for her actions. Let me ask you this. If it was anyone besides your mother, what would you do? Not the a-hole. Fraud is fraud. It's horribly short-sighted to put your child into debt like that. Also, she wasn't providing for them. She was making Opie unknowingly provide. Next story. Am I the a-hole for locking my garage so my brother-in-law and sister can't open it without talking to me? I bought a house. I specifically found one that had a mother-in-law apartment, so my parents could live with me and save some money as they get older. My sister's husband lost his job, and so I let them live in my house for almost 2 years while I lived in the mother-in-law apartment, so they could save and get back on their own. Well, after 2 years, they hadn't saved anything, and so I told them it was time to leave. They moved out last June. I moved back in upstairs, and my parents moved in downstairs in the apartment. My sister and her husband left a lot of things in the garage since they moved into an apartment. This annoyed me and my wife, and eventually made them clean it out. But still had some things in there. Mostly junk in my opinion, but also some tools. They would always just show up and take and slash or leave stuff in my garage. Last week was the last straw for me. Her husband showed up, opened the garage, and stored a top to his Jeep, which took up most of the space. No hello, no text, nothing. I felt disrespected. I changed the code to the garage and locked the side door from the inside. Today they showed up again to get a tool. I assumed they were visiting my mom. She told them to ask me to get into the garage, and they got really mad. They said they are family. It's their stuff. They shouldn't have to. I feel like it's my house, and while I would probably never say no if they asked to store something, but it's common decency to ask someone first. Even just send a text saying, "Hey, I'm dropping off something today." Not today, Hall. Your sister and brother-in-law sounds like moochers. I wouldn't give them the garage door code. Probably should also tell them they have until the end of the month to get their stuff out of your garage, or it'll wind up on the curb. They are moving into a house in 4 weeks, so I assume they will finally take all their stuff. That's good, but don't assume they will. Maybe drop a hint, like by telling them, now that you are getting your own place, you can get all your stuff out of my garage finally. Not today, Hull. It is time for them to take everything out and put it in storage. Inform them that they have 2 weeks to empty it out. After that, everything in there will be considered abandoned, and you will keep what you want and throw away the rest. I really thought this would be more controversial. I'm starting to not feel guilty at all about it. Not today, Hull. They don't live there, and they shouldn't have their stuff in your garage. You let them stay 2 years rent-free, and they show no appreciation and squander the opportunity. You've done enough for these people. Pick a date and say they have to come get their stuff on this day. All of it. After that, it's going to the dump. Not today, Hull. In my family, we all share. My sister has left her tires in my garage, and my parents have stored my stuff, and so on. Sharing our space is really normal in my family. We always ask permission first, and always let each other know when we will be picking stuff up. We would never dream of just randomly showing up to pick up or drop off stuff. I'd be right pissed if someone kept coming into my garage without asking first, and I'd be even more pissed if someone dropped off something large without asking first. What if you were planning on using that space that is now occupied by a Jeep top? Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to support my family forever? I, 24 male, still live at home with my grandma. So does my older brother, my uncle, and my mom. For my whole life, we've kind of just helped each other out with everything financially. Even since I've been an adult, they have helped me with a ton. Only in the last year or so have I realized how awful this is, and decided to work on getting my own place. They're also used to this way of living that there's no way any of them besides my grandma could make it on their own. I, for one, am sick of it and want to be independent. So I stopped smoking cigs and grass and stopped giving them any extra money and have been saving literally every extra dime I have and just finally got a car. Still saving to move soon. My brother, on the other hand, spends all his money on grass and video games. Spent his entire tax return on a new Xbox and smoked the rest. Literally the next day, his car messed up and is basically trashed. After about a week of taking him to and from work every morning immediately after getting off of my job, I ask him if he's been looking at any cars, and he says, "No, you have a car. I don't need another one until whenever you move." I told him kind of harshly how this BS, that I have worked myself off so I could have my own car, and I'm not giving him rides forever if he's not gonna even try to get his own. I told him if he hadn't immediately spent his tax money in crap, he could have fixed his car, and that he needed to change his priorities or he would never get anywhere. A few days later, I heard him talking about me to everyone, and telling them how Peyton goes and gets a decent job and says screw all of us, and now he's gonna move after all we've done for him. And they all seem to agree. In my head, I know I'm just trying to be an independent, responsible adult, and I don't want to be stuck in this lifestyle anymore. I feel like such a loser because of the way my home life is, and I want to get out before I end up like them, a fully grown 30-plus-year-old adult living with grandma. But my anxiety-riddled brain makes me feel so guilty about betraying them. Sorry for the length, and if this isn't very well written. I'm on my phone at work typing for a few seconds at a time. Lol. Just trying to gain some clarity. Now for the comments. Not today, Hall. There's nothing wrong with you wanting to be independent and to have your own life. Don't let them make you feel guilty about it. Good luck. Not today, Hall. I used to do everything for my family. I started therapy because I was so unhappy and realized I was enabling everyone. My family was happy and relaxed because I took care of all the hard stuff. So I stopped. There was about a year where everyone was calling me selfish, getting mad at me, and guilting me when I wouldn't help. But eventually they started learning to deal with their own issues and grew as people. I started feeling happier and just better overall. It was 100% the right move. My only regret was not doing it earlier. There will be pushback because the dynamic is changing, but that's not a bad thing. When they ask for help, take a step back and say, do they really need my help or would I be enabling them? Not today, Hall. You've quit doing things that were costing you extra money, and at least one that will help your health long term, and are working hard to better yourself and your life. This is a good thing. Telling your brother he needs to get his car situated before you move is smart. It sounds like your family's happy where they are and how they live, and that's fine. Make it clear you're not judging. You just want something different. Not today, Hall. Since I come from this kind of family, I think you should become familiar with the phrase, crabs in a bucket. Not that I've ever had a bucket of crabs in real life, but supposedly they will not let any of the other crabs escape. And if one makes a break for it, they'll grab his little crab legs and drag him back down. Your family will be angry and resentful, and they will badmouth you and try to use propaganda like, family doesn't do that. And you have to develop a little healthy contempt for that kind of life in order to get the motivation to work yourself out of it and onto something better. He may try to convince you that you are betraying them, or say that you're putting on airs, but really he is scared that one less salary in the house means that he will have to step up. It means that your brother will have to become more responsible, and he doesn't want to do that. If you work full-time, you deserve the dignity and privacy of living on your own. It's a responsibility and a privilege. Your ambition isn't even crazy or radical. It's totally normal to want your own place. But having goals of your own just shines a spotlight on his situation, and now that he has to really examine his life, he's embarrassed by it. Living at home at 30 with your mom and grandma. He was speaking out of anger, shame, and fear. You provided a cushion for his life and you're taking it away. Last pot? Oh no. Ignore him and forge ahead. Last story. Would I be the a-hole if I told my roommate's mom that I won't be following her rules in my apartment? My roommate, who I'll call Emily, and I, both 21 female, are college students and will live in an off-campus apartment together. We split rents and utilities 50-50. I pay for my part myself, but Emily's parents pay for hers. Emily's mom is a bit overbearing and has a lot of rules for our apartment. The main one being that no boyfriend are allowed to sleep over, as it's against her religion. She specifically told Emily to have a talk with me about this subject to tell me this isn't allowed after we moved in. Emily doesn't care if I have my boyfriend over for the night, as she does it all the time without telling her parents. However, it strikes me the wrong way that Emily's mom feels like she can impose non-negotiable rules on me when she doesn't pay for any of my part of the bills. Today, Emily's parents are coming to visit, and I expect her mom to go over all of the rules that she sets with me. Would I be the a-hole if I told her mom that, with all due respect, I'm paying my portion of the rent and she doesn't have any control of the things I do in my own apartment? On one hand, I feel like I'm justified. This woman is trying to impose her own religious beliefs onto me in an apartment that I pay half of the bills for. The idea of just rolling over and telling her that I'll obey her demands when just doing my own thing behind her back doesn't sit right with me. However, after speaking to my own mother about the subject, she thinks that it would be disrespectful. She says that even though I'm paying for my half of the rent, Emily's family is still paying for this apartment, and they should be able to have a say of what goes on, even if Emily and I just end up breaking those rules anyway. I've spoken to Emily about this subject, and she doesn't care if I tell her mom that I will or will not be following those rules, as long as I don't indicate that Emily breaks them. So I was hoping to get some outside opinions here. Reddit, what do you think? Would I be the a-hole if I told my roommate's mom that I won't be following her rules in my apartment? Not today, Hall. 1. She's not your mom. 2. She's not paying your bills. Tell her to buzz off. This is the only correct answer. Well, maybe Emily gets the act from apartment and her life is worse. You have every right to tell the mom you won't be following her rules. But don't be surprised if you're looking for a new roommate soon after. Yeah, that's what I'm worried about too. I know it's tempting to tell them to buzz off, but I think it would be preferable for you and Emily to just grin and bear it through this visit, so you can get on with your lives when they leave. If they are that strict, I wouldn't be surprised if they required Emily to check in with them constantly, or force her to move if you just start dropping F-bombs. Not today, Hall. Your answer should be, I'll give that all the consideration it deserves. Edit. Thank you all for your input. Her parents stopped in briefly, but then left to go get food. They'll be staying here overnight though, so I'm planning on updating this later tonight to let everyone know what goes down when we all sit down and talk. I also just wanted to say that after talking to Emily further about this, it turns out that her dad really doesn't care what I do, and thinks that his wife's demands are extremely unreasonable. This is why Emily doesn't care if I speak up or not, because I guess that even though her mom is paying the bills, it's her dad who makes the money to support them all. Emily says that her dad would never make her move just because her roommate doesn't follow traditional values, and even though her mom is a bit of a squeaky wheel, her words not mine, her dad makes all of the final decisions here. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister that the adoptive parents have a point for no longer contacting her? My sister gave birth to her twins, boy and girl, in June of 2020. She had been living with me before then after being evicted. I have 3 kids and work full-time, and I told her if she was going to keep her babies, she was going to have to find other living spaces. I have 2 bedrooms and it's cramped already. I'm not sacrificing my room to share with her and 2 newborns. She said okay. When she was 6 months pregnant, she said she was going to give her baby up for adoption and contacted this top adoption agency, and they sent her a pamphlet of potential parents. I was shocked, since she never brought up giving them up for adoptions. I felt guilty, so I told her if she got a job and paid me $400 a month, maybe we could find a 3-bedroom. But she said she doesn't want to be a mom, and that she's made up her mind. She ended up choosing a very wealthy couple for her baby. They both made 6 figures and had a very clean, squeaky look to them. I told her they looked stuck up, and she said she wanted her twins to live an upper-class lifestyle. The agency and couple flew her out to their city in a 5-star hotel for the rest of her pregnancy. It was supposed to be an open adoption, and when my sister came back, they did send pictures once a month by mail. Then when the twins were about 6 months old, all of a sudden they ghosted my sister, deleted all their social media handles to probably create new ones, and even moved. My sister had a breakdown and I was equally shocked. The agency brushed her off and said the parents have the right to do whatever they want, and told her not to call again unless she was pregnant. For weeks, I pitied my sister, until she got drunk and told me something. She said that she texted the adoptive mom that she needed $2,000 because she wants to go back to school or something, and the mom told her she doesn't feel comfortable with my sister messaging her asking for money. And my sister told her that they're beyond rich and that $2,000 is what they spend in a day, so they're not hurting. And that's when they ghosted her. That changed things for me. And I told my sister that she shouldn't have done that, and that maybe they had a point. She started crying, and is still giving me the cold shoulder. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. She chose rich parents so she could get something out of it. The adoptive parents realized this and went no contact. Hopefully she realizes her mistake and doesn't pull this if her biological kids ever try to contact her. That's what I thought too. I told her to choose another couple that seemed sweeter, but she only cared about money. Edit for those confused. There's a lot of options to choose from in the book they send you, and my top choice sadly wasn't chosen. I hope they do end up adopting a baby one day, whoever they are. They seemed very chill. My sister said she wanted her kids to have rich parents. I don't think choosing a couple that seemed sweeter would have really helped the situation. Even the sweetest couple ever would be questioning her motives and ability to maintain healthy boundaries after asking for money like that, which I also suspect was a greater amount than $2,000. I have a feeling that there was more than just asking for $2,000 that led them to not only cut off contact, but delete their socials and move. You're definitely not day-hole. Me too. But sadly, I think I shut her out and she won't ever tell me the full truth. She's a very impulsive spender, so I see her asking for way more than that. Maybe that was the last straw, and they actually sent her money before in the past. I'm not sure. Not day-hole. It sounds like sister was hoping the adoptive parents would be a cash cow for her, but once the adoption is final, they hold all the cards. Yep. She thought that on top of the 5-star hotel, that they would continue to give her money. She acted like they sold them her children, and they still owe her. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my daddy let my mom down? My parents were married for 24 years. I, 22 female, am their only child together. My dad had 2 sons and a daughter with his first wife. When I was a kid, they shared custody until their mom was sent to jail for something she did to my mom. Before that, she really made sure my half-siblings hated my mom, and they treated her terribly. They called CPS on her twice, claiming she was mistreating them, which she wasn't. And the second time, my mom moved out with me, so my dad could be the only adult in the home with them. They stayed married and they tried to work on a family unit, but my siblings weren't interested. And as soon as their mom got released, they moved in with her and we moved back in with my dad. Dad still chased my half-siblings and tried to make us a family. My mom was diagnosed with cancer when I was 11, and she fought like hell for 11 years. My dad ended up being her caregiver, and he did a good job in some ways, but he left her exposed to my half-siblings. I want to say I blame them, but I know none of it would have happened without their mom. Still, when 14-year-old me found my half-sister telling my mom she couldn't wait for her to die, and how her mom was going to piss and defecate all over her grave and smear it everywhere, and my dad had asked my half-sister to stay with my mom, I knew there was also something wrong with them, because she was 20 at the time of the incident. It broke my mom, but she was fighting so hard to stay alive she forgot to fight for making her life overall better. My mom died 2 months ago. She wanted to live longer for me, but cancer took hold of her. My dad chased my half-siblings down and begged them to come to the funeral. He tried to encourage them to help us plan and be with us. My oldest half-brother showed up the night before the funeral to tell us his mom and siblings were so freaking glad she was dead, and the world was a better place without my mom, because she was nothing but a nasty W who married someone else's sloppy seconds. I kicked him out so damn fast, but I was pissed at my dad too. I didn't tell him last week, as I mostly ignored him after the funeral, but he kept pushing lately, and so I replied. I told him he failed us. He let my mom down when she needed him the most, and he chose 3 people so full of hatred that they act like monsters. I told him I couldn't even look at him. A lot of my dad's siblings got involved because they feel I was too harsh after the loss he suffered, and now it's making me feel a tiny bit bad. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your dad put you and your mom through horrible treatment for years for the sake of trying to form a family bond with his first family. Not the a-hole. I was waiting for someone to mention that Opie got traumatized due to the spineless dad. Opie, you have to start a new life for yourself. And if you want to go low contact or no contact with your dad, that is up to you. Cut anyone who was not/is not supportive of you. Have therapy and live a good life, and leave them to karma to find them. Don't let them all mess with you too. Not the a-hole. Sounds like your father let a lot of people down, including your half-siblings who never learned to properly cope with or accept the fact that he moved on from their mother and remarried. That was a failure on the adults in your family, and how they managed communication amongst you all while growing up. There is, however, no excuse for how they treated your mother, and I agree that her care and comfort should have been the priority. I don't know. An adult came to say they were happy Opie's mom died? Sounds like they're just at the core not good people. Please never speak to your half-siblings again. I don't understand how you don't hate them. I'm petty, and the hatred I would feel for them would be never-ending. Never have any contact with them or any kids they may have. Not the a-hole. You told the truth after I kept pushing it. Where were all these aunts and uncles while the stepkids were being monsters to your mom? Did they tell the stepkids they were being too harsh and downright hateful to your mom? No? Then ignore them. Sorry about your mom. Peace and kindness to you. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to get rid of my daddy's #1 princess t-shirt? I, 20 female, lost my dad 2 years ago, and since then, it's been revealed that he had another daughter, Amanda, 25 female. Before my dad met my mom, he was involved with another woman and dumped her when he found out that she was engaged to another man. The guy was military and overseas, so my dad had no way of contacting him, and he didn't know the woman well enough to reach out to any mutual friends, although my dad did later regret not trying harder. Unbeknownst to my dad, he accidentally got her pregnant, and she tried to pass Amanda off as her fiancé, but it didn't work. She eventually married someone else but later divorced, and the guy completely cut contact. Because of this, Amanda always wanted to know who my dad was, and tried reaching out to him but didn't have much luck because, again, they didn't know each other long. My dad wasn't from there. He moved away and changed his contact information. Eventually, Amanda got a hit through 23andMe through my cousin and reached out. By that time, my dad was already gone, but his parents, siblings, and their children were more than welcoming. My brother and I were pretty weirded out by this, and since our dad wasn't on her birth certificate, we didn't believe her until there was a DNA test. I wish I could say that this was a magical moment where we all hugged and are now besties, but honestly, I don't feel this strong familial tie to her because I didn't grow up with her. My brother says he feels the same, but we both make the effort to be nice when she's around. Now, up until Amanda came around, I was my dad's only daughter, and because of this, he had a lot of daddy's favorite daughter type of things because I was his only daughter at the time. It was like a fun little joke between us. Out of all the things he's given me in relation to this theme that I cherish most, is a custom-made t-shirt he got me with a picture of us at a father-daughter dance when I was 12, and a caption, "Daddy's #1 princess." It was one of the last things my dad ever gave me, and I love it very much. I never showed it to Amanda, but I guess someone else told her, and she gently confronted me about it and asked me to get rid of it and anything like this. She expressed how she's been in therapy to cope with never having a true father figure, and that her actual father died before ever meeting her, and knowing that I was his favorite daughter is really upsetting her. I told her that while I am sad about the situation and won't ever bring it up around her, I am not getting rid of it. I thought Amanda and I had an understanding, until my aunt called and berated me for not being respectful to my sister's feelings, and that getting rid of a t-shirt that I don't even wear is a small sacrifice, because I at least have the memories of having a loving father while Amanda doesn't. Am I the a-hole? Edited to add, because I keep seeing this, I just wanted to clarify certain things. 1. My mom and dad were never married, and broke up before I was born, and I'm currently living with her, so that's where the bulk of my daddy's #1 princess type of things are there, and Amanda has no reason to come to my mom's house, so I'm not worried about things going missing. 2. I've spoken to my brother, and he agrees that so long as I don't wear them and/or bring them up around Amanda, I should have the right to keep them. 3. My grandparents are trying to stay neutral in this because they see both sides to the argument. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Amanda is the one not respectful of your feelings. How can she ask you to get rid of your memories from your father? She just sounds jealous. Given the situation, I wouldn't be surprised, but I also wouldn't blame her. I wouldn't blame her either, but I do blame your aunt for not minding her own business. Not the a-hole. If family's coming after you, you should pack up these types of mementos and put them somewhere safe. One of them could take it upon themselves to get rid of something they think you shouldn't have. I second this. People do weird stuff, and this sounds like something your aunt would do, or convince someone to do, to try to make Amanda happy. Not the a-hole. Absolutely not the a-hole. You were objectively the favorite if he never even met her, first off. Her loss isn't your responsibility to deal with. Your memories and keepsakes from your father are 100% yours to hold on to. I have 2 siblings, and when I give my mom a present, I always sign it, "From your favorite child," even though we all know she loves us equally. But no one is ever offended, because that's just silly. My brother does the same thing. He is the only boy in the family, so he often signs presents or cards with, "From your favorite son/brother/sibling." But we all know it's a complete joke, and no one is offended. Last story is titled, "Am I the a-hole for not forcing my son, 11 male, to like his stepsister, 15 female?" I, 29 female, had my son, 11 male, with my ex. My son is autistic, and does not like it when people touch his belongings. When I had him, my ex decided he didn't want to be a father, and abandoned us. My parents were lifesavers, and they took care of him when I had to attend college classes. I work full-time now and live in a great apartment. My ex reached out when son turned 8 and wanted to meet him. I brought him to a nearby park and we came to an agreement that son can stay with ex every other weekend. I bought my son a Switch for his 8th birthday, and he brings it with him everywhere. My ex also has been seeing a girl for the past couple of months who has a daughter, 15 female. My son came back home yesterday and didn't speak to me at all when I picked him up. I was extremely worried and called my ex when I got home. And he told me that son wasn't letting girlfriend's daughter play on the Switch, and he grabbed it out of son's hand. Girlfriend's daughter dropped it down the stairs, and it has a huge crack in the screen. I went to talk to my son and told him that I would be happy to get him a new Switch and any game that he wants. He was very happy, but told me that he didn't want to go back to ex's house anymore because the daughter was mean to him. And I told him that I was not going to force him to do anything he didn't want. Now my ex wanted to take my son this coming weekend, and I told him that we had plans to go to a theme park and that son didn't want to go over to the house anymore. I told my ex it's because the daughter made my son very uncomfortable. My ex flipped out and accused me of keeping son away from him, but he had enough at that point and hung up on ex. Am I the a-hole for not forcing son to like girlfriend's daughter? Edit. I do have full custody of my son and did suggest having ex come over to the apartment, but he refused. Not the a-hole. He's being a prick to your son and abandoned you and your son 11 years ago. He doesn't suddenly have a claim over him. Yeah, I don't think I'd rush the son into hanging out with the father overnight. Maybe for a couple hours. The father is a stranger to the child. I'm wondering if the dad's girlfriend suggested he get back into the kid's life because the girlfriend has a kid of her own? Not the a-hole. That 15-year-old is a huge a-hole for trying to steal and subsequently breaking a child's toy. She should know better. He's also autistic, so she should be extra aware of being tactful. He said he doesn't want to be around the daughter, not the father. His father can visit him without the daughter, or have him over when she's not there. The reaction to the daughter breaking the son's property is quite telling. Not a lot was mentioned about it, and therefore I deduced that not much was done. Not much was done probably due to the fact the father is trying to appease his girlfriend. Take into account that's not even his daughter. It sounds like he's putting more consideration into his stepdaughter's sentiments than his own son. I could be completely off base. He also refused other arrangements, like meeting at another place. I really don't care if the kid is 1, 11, or 111. If you damage my property, you are obligated to make amends. And it would only be reasonable for the kid not to trust him. I don't see the father being an advocate for his son in this in any of the information given. And damn it, I wish I was wrong on this. He is using his own son as a pawn in a game of clout. I think the son is a sharp kid. It is catching on. Not the a-hole. Your ex is trying to impress his new potential squeeze. It is an a-hole. Be careful about violating court orders and the long-term impact that might have on you. I was ordered full custody of my son. I have no issue letting my ex see my son, but I want son to be comfortable. I did suggest ex coming over to the apartment, but he refused.